Good morning, Story Trading VIPs. It's Thursday, April 27th. Really busy morning. A lot going on this morning. Lots of earnings to go through, and at least one special guest. We got Dan Carlson joining us in a couple of minutes on Atom, and and Chris Tuttle is making a point that I agree with. MBLY short. We're gonna hopefully be talking on Chris Tuttle on MBLY. Got some thoughts to share on that. But first, looking at the macro right here, the regional banks, they look stable. QQQ, SPY, nothing really going on here. Interesting to see UVXY down 5%. There's some economic data out there. GDP a little bit worse than expected, which might be good, for the Feds in terms of interest rates. And then labor market, though, strong, less than expected unemployment numbers. So kind of mixed numbers there. And so far, from a macro perspective, going down this list, nothing really of note, which is great, because then we can focus on stock picking, right? Stocks moving on catalysts and technicals, a lot more reliable, a lot more predictable when we have stable macroeconomic situations. So first, there were a ton of earnings. I'm just focusing on some of the most popular names and the better reports, okay? There was stuff out of Caterpillar, American Airlines, TSCO, Tractor Supply Group, Wolf, MasterCard, Honeywell, STM. All of these came out, and none of them really made the cut for me to talk about this morning. Okay, there was nothing of note that, wow, these are big beats. This is something we want to jump on. Meta, however, right at the top, right after Microsoft really helped the QQQ yesterday. Now we have Meta with a 14% move after Microsoft had like a 10% move here. So this one, I noted last night that it looked good to got a few bucks out of it to the 200-week moving average, but it's going beyond that. That was about a 10% move, which matched their guidance increase of about 10% on Meta. And now we're up at 15%. They didn't give an EPS estimate for Q2, just the guidance, the revenue, top line 10%. Probably their margins, because of the margin profile, that might mean even more for their EPS, more than 10%. That's why you're seeing it go up. You're seeing a bunch of analysts coming up with upgrades, lots of them. Also, very positive comments on AI that Meta had. They mentioned AI about 55 times. That's the theme. So between Meta and Microsoft, they may be moving on, fundamentals and also on the sentiment with AI. I'm not making any predictions on this, but look, over the 200-week moving average, that's good. You stay over that 200-week moving average, things are going to be in good shape for Meta. All right. Other earnings of note, Teladoc and Roku, really nothing. Roku was in line, basically in line. It's now down a little bit, but it's flat in after hours. So nothing to write home about with Roku, I don't think. Teladoc was mixed. Top line was slight beats, forward looking, but the EPS was lower. So that, to me, that's not exciting. That's not something I want to jump on with that mixed guidance. It's up 5%, but again, not interested to me. And it's still within the range of where it was 5 days ago. So not really breaking out. The market's telling you not so important. So out of all those big earnings, it was Meta really the driver, the big one, and that might be saving the market. Okay, got lots of big stuff to talk about. We're going to, I think, go to Dan here first, Dan Carlson, because he's here in the studio to talk about Atom. But after that, stay tuned, because there's big cannabis news. So we'll talk about MSOS and MJ and the impact that might have on XXII. Big news on LLAP. Big news on MBLY. That was a short call by our colleague, Chris Tuttle. We'll talk about that, and hopefully he'll be on, and what the implications of that is on Tesla and other EV stocks. But for right now, let's bring on Dan Carlson to talk about Atom, up 32% this morning. Dan, there was earnings last night, but what caught my eye was this big commercial license agreement with ST Microelectronics. Tell us what we need to know between those two headlines, and if you think there's an opportunity here at $6.90 right now.
All right, Ben. So I'll be as quick as possible. You're busy. Earnings are meaningless for this stock right now. It's all about signing commercial licenses and getting into production. This is a royalty model. So they're out there. They announced ST Micro last night, one of the largest semiconductor companies out there. They got tentacles into every large semiconductor company. What they do is they have a process that would be put into manufacturing semiconductors and improves the output, basically. ST Micro intends to be going into production with them, and they'll be getting royalties from that at some point, probably about 2 years from now. It takes that long in this industry. So the question you have to ask yourself is this the first domino to fall? Usually in this industry, when someone like a leader, like an ST steps up, everyone else has to copy, because if they have a 10% improvement in their chip and you don't, you're kind of screwed. So the bull thesis here is that over the next year, you'll see a bunch more people sign these agreements. And then you look out a few years from now, and this thing's generating 2 to 3% off of every semiconductor used in their process, which it's applicable to the vast majority of the semiconductor industry. You could have a multi-billion-dollar royalty stream coming at you out in a few years. That's the bull thesis. Meanwhile, they're kind of cash burning and hitting the ATM. So the bears are going to say, well, you're 2 years from any revenue and can't see more. I think it's this first shoe to fall. I think it's a steal here at $7. When they signed a phase 4 contract a couple of years ago, the stock hit close to $50. You're down to $7, and now you're entered a production contract. So I think this thing could be in triple digits if they get a couple more of these and people start extrapolating out some big numbers.
Okay, cool. Tell me about this ATM, because that I'm trying to figure out. Fine, you made a good argument for long term. Obviously, you got to have a diversified portfolio if you're going to hold something long term like this. But as far as a short term, based on this news, that sounds good. But they're cash burning to have the ATM. So can this have sustained momentum from here, or how hard are they going to tap this ATM?
Well, they got about a year's worth of cash, and they're going to be getting in some milestone payments as they move it towards production. So, they're not going to have to hit it that hard. This should bring in a lot of new buyers. I think one of the other things hitting the stock lately also was people positioning for it leaving the Russell 2000 on a market cap basis. So it's a kind of an interesting game on the Russell. If this thing gets up over $7, $8, $9, it starts to stay in the index, and those people will have to buy it back. So there's a Russell game being played in the background here in the near term.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I got to keep you on another minute more than I promised it, because I was looking at the short. I've been monitoring that with some other stocks, and the short position on this is 4.5 million shares, which is 28 days to cover. And some of that short position may be in anticipation of them, leaving the Russell on Reconstitution Day, June 23rd. If they can stay in, those shorts may have to buy back.
Yeah, they may have to. There's always been a large short position as this company has taken longer than expected to get to this point of signing a commercial deal. There's no doubt about that. I frankly think that the shorts are trying to sit on it this morning. I think this thing's going to keep trading higher. Like, everyone in my universe is like, finally, this is done. I'm buying stock tomorrow. Up 30%. I got a lot of buyers in my group. So,
Whoa.
Just for my premium guys, and just a little plug here, we were buying stock at $5.20 over the last few days in front of the earnings. So.
Oh, in front of earnings. Okay. Very nice. Okay. Quick look at the technicals. There is some resistance here right at $7. I don't know if you could see that. All these candles up here. And then after that, if it can break 7, I think $8 and $8.50 possibly in play in the short term. Good luck, Dan. Thank you for the update. Appreciate it. Well, where can people go to get to your service website?
Tailwinds Research. Just look me up. Tailwinds
Research.
With an S Research. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dan.
Yep. Thanks, Ben.
Yep. Take care. All right, man. Lots of other topics to hit. I see Chris Tuttle just got here from Tuttle Trade. So let's go to that next. Let's see. MBLY. So MBLY was his short play that he gave us last week. It was a different thesis, but boy, did it play off in spades. Let's get caught up. Chris, good morning.
Hey, Ben. How are you doing this morning?
Doing good. So much news going on. So many opportunities. MBLY down 23%. For a different reason than what we talked about. It looks like really bad EV news out of China. Tell us what's going on there and how you're playing it from here.
Well, I mean, I really wish they could have had a better ER.
Me too. That's what I was hoping for, because I wanted to short after the ER, so I'm not in this play, unfortunately.
I know. I shorted. I shorted pre-market this morning. I got a good chunk off at 37 and change. The quarter was really it's a terrible earnings report. I think the analysts are grasping at trying to find something positive in this. Here's the thing that's really, I found very alarming. The company is like, their big customer in China is sort of an all, tier 2, I would say. And they said they reissued their purchase order at a lower amount. I'm like, well, what's a purchase order and a design win in a pipeline? I understand that, things change and, no one can see the future, et cetera. But not only did they call out, broad weakness in the EV market in China, but, their major OEM, there basically said, yeah, that last purchase order we gave you, we're going to give you a new one that's going to be a lot lower. So there wasn't a lot to be excited about. They basically, if you listen to the whole call and the Q&A and all the discussions, they're basically kind of writing off 2023. They're like, this is the guidance we think we can make it. There's really nothing new that's going to come in. We're having a lot of discussions with OEMs that could pan out for production in 2025, in some cases late 2025. So, I'll be interested to see how the shares react when we really get to volume, because as you pointed out, there is a sizable short position. But, this is before we even hear anything about what Intel may do, which we might hear today after the close. So I'd say my thinking on this changed from purely event-based short to a little bit more of a secular short, because I don't know, it sounds like not only is this not going to be a good year for them, one of the things I wrote in a note that I put out yesterday, I forgot to put it in the VIP research room, but I put a link there. It's open, anybody can read it. But it's like, Mobileye is getting a lot of competition from NVIDIA and Qualcomm. And it's pretty clear that the major OEMs are going, we might want to invest more in our own software-based approach than rely on Mobileye's full self-driving kind of roadmap. So I think the analysts are going to have a hard time explaining why you would want to buy this stock, even at this level right now. I mean, it would be like, have a look at it and see if they announce design wins that could drive 2024 and 2025 growth. But 2023 is, basically a write-off. I mean, they're like, yeah.
And in the headline here, you can see from Barron's, Mobileye shocks with lower guidance. And, what really concerns me is the macroeconomic comments. You pointed to some competition issues, but China electric vehicle market negatively impacted by price cuts and then macro, saying light consumer demand. That actually concerns me for Tesla. And you mentioned Air as well. Tesla, look at this. I'm wondering if Mobileye is actually moving Tesla down this morning. I think it might be. Tesla's in the gap. I was talking about 145 to 155 would be the correction level. I talked about that when it was like 175 the other day, and it's right in there. I think now it's heading towards 145. Is there a read-through Mobileye impacting Tesla? You also mentioned Air. I haven't looked it up this morning yet. Air's down 4%. You think that's because of Mobileye report?
Probably. I mean,
wow.
I don't think I wouldn't be that worried about Air. Maybe I don't have a position in Air right now, but I am short Tesla in pretty good size. And I shorted Tesla I just shorted Tesla when they announced the second price cut, which was, I don't know. It turned out to be the morning they were also reporting earnings, but that was like the second price cut before we even saw the effect of the first price cut. So you cut prices twice that quickly. Wow, that's pretty aggressive price cutting. Now, Tesla can't, they don't have inventory. So they're in a much different position than a normal OEM, because like they got nowhere to put these cars if people aren't buying them. So they sort of have to cut price a lot faster than other companies. So yeah, I'm still, I still have a pretty good short position in Tesla. we'll see what MobileEye does today. I mean, I might cover the chunk. I shorted at 37 just to take some profits and see how it trades today. But, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see people defend it and for the stock to, rally back some, because, this could be a stock that you could make money on the short side, multiple times this year. But anyway, I thought the ER, I mean, as you can see by the stock reaction, it's not unusual, but I didn't even think the headline numbers on the quarter they reported were that good. And then when I saw the guidance and heard their commentary on the call, I mean, they're, I don't think the CEO has a firm grip on what's going on. Very visionary company, but don't forget, their technology, they've updated it, but MobileEye is 20 years old, 15 years old. It's technology. I'm not saying it's not a good solution. I'm just saying they're a visionary. They've had a big head start, but now NVIDIA and Qualcomm are very aggressively in the game. And what I mentioned on the trade session we had is it means that their TAM is smaller than you thought it was when they did their IPO. So, anyway, that's it. I don't need to play.
Congrats. Yeah. Congrats on MobileEye. Great trade, even though it wasn't necessarily for the reason you anticipated, but I guess also the fact that it was kind of overvalued or reaching a top range of the valuation range helped you make that idea. So congrats on that. Warning signs, perhaps. I'm concerned about Tesla, Air, EVs. Absolutely. So I'm actually, if you want to hang on for 1 second, I do want to talk about cannabis, MSOS, XXII, LLAP, lots of news. But first, since you're here, very quickly, since now you got a nice little track record here with the MobileEye short, did want to note yesterday UHS had earnings, but this morning analysts came out with a big upgrade. That might be a further tailwind for the idea we both like, CYH, reporting Monday after the close. So just want to let people know about that upgrade on UHS, like another $20 increase on the price target from an analyst after yesterday's report. And I also want to note, you had talked about rotating Quipt out of Infu as a Russell 2000 play. That bounced nicely off the 50 DMA yesterday. Nice end of day price action. So this one also seems to be shaping up for you. So good job so far.
Yeah, I really, as we said, CYH, it just fundamentally looks incredibly undervalued. I'm really eager to see that report next week. So I own a lot of that one. So
yep. Sounds good. I'm in that too. Thank you, Chris.
All right, Ben. Have a good day now.
Yep. All right. Awesome. Let's take another couple topics. Oh, man, a lot to cover. First of all, XXII. I've interviewed the CEO earlier in a private call. I gave you the updates on that, and that made me pretty bullish. But also, I've been closely watching the technicals over this 20 DMA. I've been closely monitoring what's going on with the Russell 2000. I put out that information on the short, the updated short position, 3.75 million shares, which exactly matches how many shares IWM has in XXII. That's how many shares they'll have to offload on Russell Reconstitution Day, June 23rd. So based on that, I was basically made a kind of a thought that the shorting might be over, just as this thing is going over the 20 DMA. We closed above the 20 DMA yesterday for the first time since when? For the first time since January 11th. Last time it closed above the 20 DMA, you can see it made a move from about 90 cents to $1.25 very rapidly. So I'm pretty bullish on this. I've given a price target of this of 80 cents at the, well, that's, not a big deal, but whatever, $7 to $8. If you multiply it by 10, looks more significant, but 80 cents would be the target. But now we have MSOS and MJ cannabis news that may impact XXII in a good way today. So safe legislation reintroduced, bipartisan, in the House and the Senate to make banking illegal at a federal level for cannabis stocks. And therefore, you have MSOS up 16%. You also have MJ, another ETF, up only 4%. I wonder why the difference between, I'm not sure why MSOS does better than MJ. Interesting. But in any case, what is interesting is MJ owns 1.24 million shares in XXII. It's about 0.4% of their ETF. So if you see inflows into MSOS, it may cause them to have to buy more XXII. But beyond that, you could see a direct sentiment impact from investors, speculating about cannabis legalization, that can improve their expanding business in the cannabis space, especially after the cookies deal. So now you're starting to get stacked catalysts for XXII, which could lead it to get closer to that next target, 80 cents. I do want to note there was another little bit of news that came out, some sort of settlement in a lawsuit that I wasn't really on top of, wasn't aware of, but XXII settled for $3 million. So good news, bad news. There was a lawsuit I guess some people are concerned about, no longer a concern, but they do lose $3 million of cash, which is important. You know, they got a $20 million line of credit recently, so $3 million of that may be gone. So good news, bad news there. But overall, I like XXII. I mentioned this story trade earlier this week on this technical break. So 80 to 82 cents is the target there. Another one, big news this morning, LLAP. So LLAP, you know, I know this stock really well, done a ton of research on it in the past month or so. This morning, I jumped on it at $1.70 when the news came out with a $1.80 was target one, $1.99 target two. It hit target one. So I haven't sold yet. What was the news? The news was Terran Orbital receives milestone payment for the 300 spacecraft, $2.4 billion contract with Rivada. So look, we're talking about a $235 million market cap and a $2.4 billion contract with Rivada. They've now gotten their second milestone payment. But just keep in mind here, okay, I'm not going to be making a bet above the 50 DMA because they still need regulatory approval from the United Nations body called the ITU. So Rivada is making a bet. So this will inspire some confidence in the market that if Rivada is making this additional payment, right, maybe Rivada has some confidence that it is going to be approved when officially we'll know July 5th, maybe July 6th. The meeting is the last week of June. Probably the decision will be leaked out in the last week of June. I anticipate the decision to be made early in that week. And officially won't be out till July 5th, July 6th, but just watch the price action going into that late June meeting. And if that gets approved by the ITU, I think this is going to be a multi-bagger stock in short order. Might be $4, $5, $6, moving in on $7, $8 if we get approval from the ITU on that deal. Okay. But in the meantime, Rivada inspiring some confidence that approval will happen. So I think it was an easy trade here to go up to the 20 DMA in pre-market, which I got already. And now I'm looking for the 50 DMA. So that's LLAP. Big news on that. And is that all I had? Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, we talked about, Drio. Okay, we interviewed Drio yesterday. I'm going to give you a quick update on that, the most important nugget from that. But also VTSI, we're interviewing the co-CEOs of VTSI this Sunday night, 9 p.m. Very excited to be interviewing John Givens, the new co-CEO. Very impressed by him. I really like what I saw in the last report. I like the technicals. So stay tuned for that. But yesterday, we interviewed the CEO of, the president of Dario, and we got a new piece of information that Aetna will be launching on July 1st. It's April 27th, and they anticipate a press release out of Aetna within the next 30 days of this July 1st launch. And this is something that's going to be very material, immediately impactful to the revenue. They have a very, very good deal with Aetna in terms of how they get paid. So it's going to have very, very significant impact in Q3 on the revenue. July 1st is the launch date as of now on Aetna. That was a big news that was dropped yesterday in our interview with the Dario president. Okay, and a couple other things just want to follow up on. Celsius hit our target yesterday. We triggered this on Friday, $95 target. It hit it basically to the nose. I got out of that, so that's working out well. And then Perry did not work out, but I'm continuing to hold it based on this AI hype and Microsoft and Bing share. I'm just going to note with the resistance and support levels, about $33 at the 20-week MA is your support level. And about, you got to break about 36.75. That's target one, but I was really hoping to get to 39. So those will be your two target levels to the upside on Perry. Still like that one. Laser, continuing to watch this on the much bigger now short position. Looking for maybe a bounce to 590, but it's got to break 590 for this to explode. Okay. Don't have time to go through the whole thesis. Man, it is late. We got to go. But lots of good actionable ideas for you today. Let's see what happens. Thanks again for that update from Dan on Atom and shorting MobileEye, maybe on bounces. XXII making a move to 80 cents. LLAP maybe making a move to the high 190s. Let's see what happens. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks for joining.